Oh, wait a second, is that a BMW driver using a turn signal? Let's back up and start from the beginning. At this intersection, the left lane is only for turning left, the middle lane is only for going straight, and the right lane can go straight or turn right. As Michael approached the intersection in the right lane to go straight, a BMW from the middle lane, which only goes straight, remember, slowed down and the driver put on their turn signal. The BMW driver then made a right turn from the middle lane, hitting the side of Michael's Tesla Model 3 and spinning it 180 degrees. Michael is an Uber driver. Luckily, he didn't have a passenger at the time of the accident, and everyone involved in the crash walked away unharmed. Unfortunately, Michael's Tesla wasn't so lucky. He's still waiting to hear from his insurance provider, but responding officers told him that, based on accidents they've seen before, it'll most likely be totaled. Katie was waiting in line to drop off her kids at school when all of a sudden she heard a loud crash behind her. Katie thinks the bus driver didn't notice that the tires of a truck were sticking out pretty far. She drove too close to one of the tires, clipped it, and smacked into the truck. Then both of them hit Katie's brand new refreshed Model X, which was literally just a few weeks old. Surprisingly, the damage to the Tesla was fairly minimal. Katie thinks this is because the truck was lifted and both it and her Model X were in park when the impact occurred. John had parked his Model 3 outside of a restaurant in Concord, California. Suddenly, he got a notification on his phone that his alarm had been triggered. He rushed out to his car to find footprints on it along with this video. Some guy just hopped onto his car's hood and walked over the top of it all the way to the back. John got out of his car and searched the parking lot for the guy, but he was nowhere to be found. John has no idea why the guy did this or if his Tesla had been targeted. Maybe the guy did it to impress his friends? They don't look very amused by what we're calling the lamest move of 2022. Mr. G was driving his 2015 Model S in Tempe, Arizona when another driver ran a red light, forcing Mr. G to turn with the tires screeching. As you can see, this was recorded using an aftermarket dashcam. That's because older Teslas don't have the Teslacam feature. This is a great time to mention one of our other channels, Wham Bam Dashcam. We're approaching 100,000 subscribers, and our goal is for it to be the best dashcam show on the internet. It's everything you love about Wham Bam Teslacam, but featuring videos from aftermarket dashcams in non-Teslas. Go check it out! Josh was on his way to a movie theater in Los Angeles, California. He was slowing down for a traffic light when the guy behind him failed to stop. The Dodge crashed into him. Just kidding, I know how upset you guys get when we call a Ram a Dodge. The Ram rammed into the Tesla. Josh just couldn't dodge that Ram. Here's where the story takes a turn. Josh stayed in the exit lane, but the Ram truck merged across a solid lane onto the highway. Josh figured he was trying to run. Josh also moved over, and then the truck moved back into the exit lane, so Josh thought they'd both stop up ahead to exchange information. At the last second, the Ram driver dodged over and headed back onto the highway, making a run for it. Josh reacted quickly and started to pursue him, but the Ram took to the shoulder. The driver was being extremely reckless, so Josh decided to back off. Instead, he called the California Highway Patrol and reported the hit and run. Officers still haven't found the suspect, and repairs will cost $2,000 US. Mike was driving his Model Y in New Zealand when, all of a sudden, a Toyota driver failed to yield, pulling out right in front of him. Mike managed to stop in time, sparing them from an accident, but the Toyota driver still had the nerve to flip him off. We can't see it in the video, but Mike says it will forever stay in his memory. Jumping Jack from Down Under, he literally asked me to call him that, and yes, he's from Australia. Anyway, he'd parked his Model 3 when Sentry mode was activated by 2 Tesla fans. We're assuming that, based on the shirts they wore while flossing and giving a thumbs up. This dance is always funnier when you speed up the video. Great show, guys, thanks! Mazer was driving his Model 3 in Denver, Colorado. On this particular road, only cars in the left lane are supposed to turn left. The driver of an SUV in the middle lane ignored this rule and turned left anyway, hitting a car going through the intersection in the left lane. We're starting to get a lot of submissions from people renting Teslas on Hertz or other rental services. When they submit videos, it's usually just a phone recording of the screen. We always ask for the original video, but many don't know how to access it. Or the USB drive is locked away in a glove box they can't open without a pin. This story from Barry is of a Honda bump, and it came with his own commentary and a custom jingle.
This is one for Wham Bam Teslacam, that's for sure.
And as I've said before, stay tuned for another episode of Idiots of Sacramento.
Barry is renting his Tesla through the Uber-Hertz partnership, and he's been posting his videos on his YouTube channel, StellarMass13. This emitter had a close call when a lady driving a Subaru merged into his lane from the right. He had to take evasive action and was able to merge into the left lane. Good thing it was clear. Upon checking the Tesla videos, it seems like there's a blind spot between the front and right repeater cameras, as this car seemingly came out of nowhere. The Subaru was hardly visible at all until it was suddenly very close, appearing like a ghost out of thin air. Autopilot didn't give him any warnings either. Daniel's wife was driving on the south side of Jacksonville, Florida. A teen driving a car next to her veered from their lane, forcing Daniel's wife to evade it by going into the turn lane. The vehicle continued along and impacted multiple vehicles in the turn lane. Daniel's wife gave copies of her Teslacam footage to the 3 drivers who'd been hit by the teen's car. Luckily, there were no major injuries. Sebastiano was driving his Model 3 in Brisbane, Australia. He was waiting to turn at an intersection when he suddenly heard a loud bang. A car had driven forward into an oncoming car in the middle of the intersection. Sebastiano contacted emergency services, but luckily nobody was hurt. Even though there were car parts sprayed all over his Tesla, it sustained no damage at all. Ileana was headed to pick up an Uber Eats order when she was stopped at a traffic light. When the light turned green, she heard screeching and scraping. When she looked around, she saw that a truck to her left had lost an entire wheel. It bounced around a couple of times before stopping. To her knowledge, nobody was injured and there were no other cars involved. Lauren was leaving soccer practice with her 8-year-old son. Suddenly, a minivan backed into them. It turned out to be a teenage driver who was immediately apologetic and checked to make sure they were okay. He said the sun was in his eyes when he was backing up. Lauren contacted the police and made an accident report. She also made an insurance claim with the other driver's insurance provider. Ryan was parked when a blue Ford hit the mirror of his friend's car before fleeing the scene, making it a hit and run. His friend is filing an insurance claim, and Ryan told us that he's thinking of buying a Tesla, but he wants to hear your opinion. Do you think he should get a Tesla? Dominic's wife was driving his Tesla Model Y while hers was in the shop. She was on a highway express lane in Denton, Texas, when a semi-truck started overtaking another one. When the overtake was completed, he started moving over to the right lane. That's when the SUV in front of her started accelerating to overtake the truck as well. At that exact moment, the truck driver changed his mind and moved back into the left lane, colliding with the SUV. Dominic's wife followed the SUV driver, hoping they would pull over, but they never did. She sent the Teslacam video to Denton County in case they can use it for any report. Oh look, another video from the Friendly Canadians. Let's see what they have going on today. This video is from Tim, who was stopped at a red light when a white Chrysler pulled up around 20 seconds after he'd stopped. Tim saw them in his peripheral vision, but he kept his eyes on the traffic light, never even looking over at them. After about 30 seconds, the driver threw what looks like a snowball at the passenger door of the Tesla. Then they drove off while the light was still red and turned right. What was that about, eh? Kayla was driving her Model 3 in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. She merged onto I-65 around 5:45 a.m. and found that traffic was stopped. She ended up stuck alongside a car with a guy hanging out of the back window. She didn't think much of it, but then he started screaming to get her attention. Then someone in the car threw a can at her Tesla. Kayla just ignored them and they finally left her alone. Luckily, the can hit her wheel, so there was no damage in the end. Cameron was driving from Santa Clarita to San Diego when the vehicle in front of him ran over a piece of sheet metal, launching it up into his front bumper. Ouch! I could almost feel that through the screen. Cameron filed an insurance claim and is still waiting for an update. This submitter was switching lanes coming out of a roundabout and didn't notice a car coming up from behind. The submitter admits he was in the wrong, and he's happy the other driver was quick with the brakes. We already heard from the friendly Canadians, time to check in with the crazy Swedes. Eric sent us this video of a Volvo parking in front of his Tesla in central Stockholm. This triggered Sentry mode, and when he reviewed it, he found this. Did you see that? Let's play it one more time. When the guy opened the door, a goose jumped out. Do you think the driver even noticed? The goose just walked away, and he kept on picking up stuff inside his car. That turn signal must be aftermarket. We all know BMWs don't have them.